And good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Captain Lou Extravaganza Live here on the 12 Ounce Sports platform and networks. They include Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and of course, Zingo TV channel 761. Tuesday, October the 5th, 2021. And with October the 5th, that means it is time for Major League playoffs. And we got a dandy coming up tonight. It's a renewal of an old rivalry, one of the probably the best rivalries in all of sports. I begrudgingly say that. Not a big New York or Boston fan, but we got to call the truth the truth. When these two teams get together, it's epic, and it should be tonight. So it's going to be a great game. We'll keep you updated on the score throughout the show here tonight as the Red Sox and the Yankees do battle again. Hey, turn down the volume of the TV. And or put that on something else while you're watching us on your big screen on Zingo TV channel 761. So that's coming up tonight. But to talk about that, we're going to have Mitch Bernstein. You just heard him, just saw him on the Burn with Mitch episode show right before us, the first half of the dynamic duo of Tuesday nights, the Two per Tuesday, if you will, here on 12 Ounce Sports. He's going to stop by. We're going to talk baseball playoffs with him, Yankees, Red Sox. Tomorrow, the Cardinals and the Dodgers. And then, of course, the rest of the playoffs, the Devil Rays, the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the winner of tonight's game. And, of course, the San Francisco Giants taking on the winner of tomorrow's game. So we got the potential of some great, great series coming up. Milwaukee's taking on Atlanta in the battle of the Braves' hometown. For those of you that do not know, Milwaukee used to be the home of the Braves. And, of course, then we've got Houston taking on the White Sox of Chicago. So some big baseball playoffs. We're going to talk about all of that here shortly, about 5 minutes with Mitch Bernstein here at 10 minutes after the hour. Then at the top of the second hour, we're going to be joined by Kurt Homiser from Buffalo Rumblings and also the Laces Out podcast. Naturally, we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills and they righted the ship 3-1 after that, what's looking like now a fluke win for the Pittsburgh Steelers against Buffalo in Week 1, as the mighty have fallen, or at least that's what it looks like after 3 weeks in Pittsburgh. We'll talk to Kurt about that and all things Buffalo and the AFC East. I want to say the American League East, the AFC East. So we'll talk to him about that and get his thoughts on what's going on in the world of pro football with him. Also, don't forget tonight we will have another edition of the Captain Lou Six-Pack Challenge, where you have your opportunity to register with us for a chance to win some great prizes at the end of the year. Beat me on my picks that I make tonight against the college and the pros against the spread. You'll be in that drawing at the end of the year for a $100 Visa gift card. And also, we're going to be giving away a $100 certificate to Fanatics. So it's gotten bigger. The stakes have gotten higher, and we hope that you can join us and be a part of that. We'll tell you how you can register, how you can give me your picks a little bit later on. We'll also talk about the quarter poll for the NFL. Who's doing great, who's not doing so great. We'll talk a little bit about Urban Meyer, too. The guy, I don't know. The latest is that it's not so good down there. We'll go over all that, and we'll tell you what we think. Should he keep his job in Jacksonville? Is it overblown? Is it just par for the course now with our professional athletes, or should we just let boys be boys, or should they be held at a higher standard? We'll talk about that probably in the second half hour of our show, so you might want to stick around for that. And my Lions. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm the biggest Lions fan around. I'm going to say it. I'm one of the top ones. I've been through thin and thin. I've been through a little bit of thick. That was in the early 90s. But, we had a playoff appearance or two in the 80s, I think. Yeah, two of them if you count the Strike Shorkin year when we were 4-5 and got throttled by the Redskins. But I got to tell you, my patience is really being put to a test after last week. And I'll tell you about that more in the second half hour as well. I'm not happy with the Lions, to say the least. But is it going to be enough to get me to jump off the bandwagon? It's going to take a lot, I know, but we're going to talk about their ineptitude. Also, we'll talk about the rookie quarterbacks, how I think they're doing in the first month. And, who's got a lot of work to do and who we really haven't been able to tell yet. But a lot going on in the NFL, so we'll make sure to touch on that. College football as well. The rankings are out. The Big Ten looking pretty good right now. They got a huge, huge showdown this week. And no, it's not Michigan State and Rutgers. I think you know what game it is. And who knows, maybe that'll be part of our six-pack challenge of picks. But it's going to be a big, big game to find out who will take the early step towards a possible bid for one of those 4 playoff spots towards the end of the year. So a lot to talk about tonight here on the show. Glad you could be with us. Again, we're sponsored by BetUS. You can see it on the screen. Go to 12ouncesportsnetwork.com/BetUS. And when you get on there, there's a bonus for you. Get on there with your first deposit. Use the promo code 12ounce right there on the screen. It's that simple. You will get your first deposit matched 125% up to $1,000. You put $100 in, they're going to give you an extra $125 to bet with. It's that easy. That is my lock of the decade right there. It's about the only lock of the year that I've given right here on the show, because it seems like whatever when I'm doing on our NFL preview shows, locks are not my specialty, that's for sure. So, again, I don't know. I think that that right there is definitely the only lock of the decade that I've got so far. That's BetUS. So go to 12ouncesports.com/BetUS. Use the promo code 12ounce for your first deposit. 120Z. That's it. 4 characters. All one word. Your first deposit is matched 125% up to $1,000. You put $50, they're going to give you an extra $1,250. It's that simple. It's easy, free money. It's very safe. They've got a lot of real cool prop bets on there as well. You can check out their casino games if you want to take a break from betting on the games. And, it's just a fun way to put a couple of shackles on the game. Futures bet. If you want a futures bet, you better get in there right now. But tell them Captain Lou sent you. We've got a contest going here at 12 ounce where whoever gets the most sign-ins, wins a ticket to a ball game or something. The Godfather, Jeff Beck, is going to reward whoever gets the most picks. So you do that. If I win and get those tickets, I will get some type of paraphernalia at the game, and I will give it away here on the show. That's simple. So make sure when you make your first deposit, you put on there, Captain Lou sent you. Take a picture of this. Take a picture of it. Send it to me at Real Captain Lou on Twitter, or email me captainlousports@gmail.com. It's that simple. So we got a lot to talk about tonight here on the show. It's funny is this is one of my favorite times of year with sports. Football's getting kicked into high gear. The NFL is in week number 5 coming up. College football already this weekend. They're going to be halfway through the regular season. And NHL hockey starting next week with their regular season opening night. It's going to be a little different watching that on TNT and ESPN. And it was funny the other night, or maybe was it the other night, last Friday or last Thursday night, I turned on TNT and they were having hockey, and it was like, wow, hockey on TNT. I don't know if I've ever seen that besides maybe in the Olympics if they carried them, but it's going to be fun to have hockey back. So we got all 3 of those sports. The NBA starting their preseason, so that means that we'll get our NBA guru, if you will, Steve Finnemore, to join us here real quick and talk some NBA hoops with him. The NBA general managers were all polled anonymously, and the overwhelming favorite to win the National Basketball Association World Championship is the Brooklyn Nets. I don't know if I go along with that, especially if Kyrie Irving doesn't get vaccinated and can't play in New York or can't even practice. But coming from a guy who thinks the earth is flat, why does that not surprise me? So, wow, we're waiting for Mitch to join us here live on the show, and we'll talk some baseball with him. Yanks and Red Sox. Where were you when Bucky Dent hit that home run in '78? Chances are you may not have been born yet. I know where I was. We'll talk to Mitch about that. So all-time, some great Yankee Boston highlights. They were so good back in the 70s. And when I started watching baseball, when I started watching it, the Tigers were just getting done with their run. '68, they won the World Series. '72, they made the playoffs against Oakland. the Yankees were kind of middling back then. Then they hired George Steinbrenner. He got Billy Martin. Then he started getting the talent, Reggie Jackson, you name it, Thurman Munson. My God, the list goes on and on. Boston was always good. Carlton Fisk, Jim Rice, Fred Lynn. We've had Freddie Lynn on the show a couple of times. That rivalry has gone on and on and on. The 90s, the 2000s, Pedro Martinez, throwing around Don Zimmer. Remember that? Oh, gosh, what's his name? Mr. Steroid, the pitcher. Doggone it. Going into the World Series, he would go in the Hall of Fame. 341 wins. Why does his name escape me? One of my favorite pitchers of all time. And then, of course, he gets busted supposedly gets busted for using roids, performance-enhancing drugs. God, what the heck? Why am I? Oh man, I'm drawing a blank on his name, and that's crazy. I can see him right now, pitching against the Angels in the '80s as a rookie. Whatever. Anyways, great rivalries. Then of course in the 2000s when Boston made their run, it's again, I'm not a Boston fan. I'm not a Yankee fan. The world does not revolve around those two teams except when they play each other, maybe. But they do have a great rivalry, so we'll have to wait and see. We'll take a listen to that, or we'll take look-ins of that game throughout the night as we await Mr. Mitch Bernstein to join us here coming up shortly. I thought I told him 8:10. Maybe I told him 8:30. Let me take a look at what I had put down here. I could have swore it was, I don't know. Anyways, we're waiting for his arrival here on the show. Talking a little baseball, so hopefully he can come on. Let's take a break. Why don't we do that? We'll take a break, and maybe we'll see if we can get a hold of Mitch. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Platform and Networks. That includes Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and as always, Zingo TV channel 761.
Twelve-Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120ZE and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sportsbook. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
There we go. Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Platform and Networks, Zingo TV, channel 761. This is Wild Card Tuesday here on 12-Ounce Sports as the Yanks and the Red Sox are moments away from getting that great game underway. The wild card game to see who will go down to Tampa and play game number 1 on Thursday night. So we will see. So I think Mitch is going to call us here shortly as Tampa, and they will await the winner of New York and Boston coming right up here shortly as they're about ready for first pitch from Boston. And so we will keep you updated on that as well. And, of course, tomorrow night it's going to be St. Louis and Los Angeles doing battle. But right now, let us go to the Captain Lou Extravaganza guest line and bring in our baseball expert extraordinaire live from the friendly confines of North Carolina. Let's bring in
That is me.
That is Mitch Bernstein from the Burn with Mitch. Mitch, how the hell are you, man?
Hey, I'm living the life down here, buddy. You should come visit me.
Oh, hey, you don't have to ask me twice. I know we got to go visit Arizona in February for my stepson, but I can squeeze North Carolina in sometime this when the weather gets a little chilly. Maybe
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
make it a little triangle.
Oh boy,
Michigan to North Carolina, all the way out to Arizona, back to Michigan. That's a cute triangle.
I would love it. Are you kidding me? I would love it. Well, Mitch, I know they're about ready to throw the first pitch if they haven't already. I got to ask you, I want to see, where were you when Bucky, well, we'll call it just Bucky Dent. We won't tell you what the Boston Red Sox fans call him. Where were you when he hit that home run in October of 1978?
I was watching that October 78. Let's see, that was my grad school year. I was watching it. I had been watching it from somewhere. I saw it. I was like, oh my God, what did he just do?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was. I was in 8th grade, and it's funny because we had, when I was in 8th grade, we used to call them a split shift. The 6th through 8th grade went to school from noon to 5, and the 7th through 12th, or the 9th through 12th grade went from 7 a.m. to noon. So I was in 8th grade, just getting out of class. We had the radio on, and Mr. Felu's in social studies class to try to get scores. Being in the UP, there really wasn't anybody that carried Yankees games on the radio that we could get back then, So we ran home and turned on the news at 6 o'clock to wait to find out. And that's how I found out about the home run on Channel 6 News out of Marquette. And, I was talking before you came on about, I'm not a Yankees fan. I'm not a Red Sox fan. I kind of loathe both teams. But when these two teams get together, Mitch, it is special. It is, to me, one of the best rivalries in all of sports.
It is. They go back so far. There's so many series. I mean, most recently, the comeback, the amazing comeback.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's never happened. Down 3-0, and they come back and win. Oh, and at that time, I was hating the Yankees more than I do now. I don't really loathe them. I just, they've won enough, and it's time for somebody else as usual. But it was, and always has been for me, because I go back, to the mid '60s, to watching those teams play, and again, most recently, that was truly. They say 80 Miracle on Ice was a miracle. That was pretty much a miracle for the Red Sox that year.
Oh, 100% agree. And coming back from that deficit and just really getting the monkey off of their back, I think back to when they played in the 70s, and then of course, the 80s and 90s, they had a few rivalries, and then towards the turn of the century, but it's always fun when they get together, regular season or not. Now tonight, Mitch, they got Garrett Cole against Eovaldi. It's in Boston. I guess my biggest question is, Cole's been kind of mortal since he got rid of the sticky stuff, and but Boston again, they're going back with bad luck. JD Martinez trips over base, and now he can't play tonight. What do you look for? What do you think? What is your gut on the Yankees as far as Cole? How long do you think they'll get out of him?
I think he's going to have a good game. I
Okay.
think he's the type that's gonna bear down and do what he has to do. And he's getting paid a lot of money to do what he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, Eovaldi just had a great inning, the top of the first for the Red Sox. So he mowed him down. He's throwing 98. He's pumped up. So it's they're at the bottom of the first, and I think it's going to be a great match. I just told Emily Nyman, she was a guest on my show,
Hmm.
a podcast to talk baseball, but Yankee fan. She is, and I told her I think the key to this game, what's going to happen, is the old vet Brett Gardner is going to make an impact.
That probably. I know Sanchez isn't playing, which I think all Yankee fans are probably happy to see that.
Yeah,
Because Cole uses his own catcher. Kind of like what what Verlander used to do in Detroit. He had his own catcher as well. So my question, tonight, and even if the Yanks win and get into the series, with Giancarlo Stanton, I know he's hot. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. He's playing well. Can those guys keep those hot bats against that Tampa pitching staff should the Yankees win tonight?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup with the basically what everybody calls them, the no-name teams,
Yeah.
the no-name Rays. With what is that? I think I read. I don't know if it's true. I don't know what the payroll is, but it's so low, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the both teams, they're very different in their makeup, and the biggest, what Emily said, is that nobody really likes playing at the Trop, and that's an advantage for Tampa.
Oh yeah.
For those Rays. I will tell you, Judge hit one off the wall. I mean, Stanton hit one off the wall. He thought it was a home run. He went into a home run trot. It hit the wall, and he ended up at first base.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, you can't be doing that stuff. You cannot be doing that stuff in the first inning of a one-game playoff. You got to run your ass off and get to second base. I don't care. Just run, And he just lollygagged because he thought it was out of the ballpark. Oh, man, that's a mistake. But nothing happened to that, so it's a moot point. Joey Gallo playing batting cleanup. I mean, the guy's batting 199. He hasn't been good since he's come over. I just don't understand why he's there.
No.
I don't know why Stanton isn't or Judge are batting cleanup. I don't get that at all. I'm shocked. But we'll see. We'll see if it ends up turning. This Boston Red Sox team, they weren't supposed to be there. They're pumped. They're at home. The crowd, as somebody had said at one point, they're in full throat. They're out there right now. They are screaming, and you could hear it through the TV. So they're pumped and ready to go.
Oh God, that's exciting. That really is. Are you a favor of the one-game playoff, Mitch, or would you rather have a best of three?
No, I like this.
I do too.
I like this. It's so much more dramatic. And I don't care what teams you have. Like tomorrow again, you got the Cardinals and the Dodgers. I mean, two of the original teams, like the Boston and the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Just so much tradition. I hope the Cardinals get their ass kicked, because I'm tired of these Cardinal fans, including my in-laws, thinking the Cardinals can walk on water. I'm tired of that crap. So I'm thinking the Dodgers. The problem is they're hot.
Oh boy, are they ever!
Wainwright's coming. They've had a few days of break. Maybe it'll shut them down. But I tell you what, how can you can't. You got to be worried about the Dodgers and having won 100 and whatever games. It's crazy. And Scherzer, I think for me, he's pitched so well.
Yeah.
I think he's got the advantage. I think Wainwright is old, and I think the Dodgers are going to wear him out.
I think you're right. I think he's done a yeoman's job for the Cardinals, getting them in this spot. But you look up and down that Dodgers lineup, and it's funny is I was going to take a futures bet on the Dodgers for them not to get to where they got. And when they're 19-19, I kicked myself. I'm thinking I should have took them to go on the under. Who would have thought they went 85-35 in the last 120 games?
That's crazy.
To get to the 104 wins. And, I look at that and I think, how in the hell did they do that? I mean, they got all the talent in the world, and now they got Scherzer. It's just mind-boggling.
The biggest problem they might have, because he's had a really good year. I mean, his Max Muncy got hurt,
Yeah.
right? Elbow.
Yes.
Um, Leading the team in RBIs at 94, leading the team in home runs with 36. His average is 249, but you know what? That's okay. He's not hitting for average. Look at the numbers.
Right.
It's crazy. So that kind of evens things out a little bit, but they still have enough in that lineup. I think that Trey Turner's been crazy, Justin Turner. I mean, it's almost unfair.
Mitch, we're talking to Mitch Bernstein from The Burn with Mitch. You can see him right before us. We are the 2 for Tuesday dynamic duo of Tuesday nights here on 12 Ounce Sports, as always, if there was any doubt, right? So,
yeah.
Mitch, going back to the Boston New York series, is there anything to maybe Aaron Boone not having the? I don't know. Cora's been there; he's won it. Is there anything to that as far as having the edge? Because the Yankees seem, in the last decade, when they get to the playoffs, they wilt, in my opinion. I mean, Detroit had their number at the beginning of I'm counting last decade, obviously, but in the last 12 years, it seems like that they've kind of spit the bit. Does that play anything into it tonight?
I tend to say no.
Okay.
I just think, again, as pros right now, that's not in anybody's mind. Could they lose? Absolutely.
Sure.
But I just don't think it's in anybody's thought process, except for the fans.
Right.
The fans know. The players don't. I mean, the players might, but they don't think about that stuff. I just think it's a matter of, this is a one-game thing, and play your game and have good at bats and play solidly, and you got good pitching. That's the game for one game. That's it. You got to just do it. Now, I will tell you that Emily came on and she said she thought the Yankees had the advantage. And she did say, I asked her, does Boone have a job even if they lose this game? And she said she thought that he would. So, and that's from somebody who's followed the Yankees all year. So, obviously the fans didn't like it. They kept, they would bitch and moan all year, and then they get to the playoffs. Okay, well, you're going to continue to bitch and moan when the 20 other teams didn't make the playoffs. Stop.
Yeah.
That's what I say. But it'll be fun, and if they win this game, again, I see, and I also told her I love the 3 out of 5.
I do too. Yeah.
Right.
Mitch, I think maybe because it's tradition that goes way back to, the 70s. I mean, back when the ALCS and the NLCS was 5 games. I mean, when, Detroit beat Kansas City in 3 back in 84. But, even the Yankees and whatnot, the Phillies, winning in 80. They had, it's just, it's nostalgia, and how did St. Louis do it? Mitch, winning all these games and getting in there. Was it pitching? Was it just timely hitting? Was it a little bit of both? How'd they do it?
It was a little bit of both, and I honestly think, and I hate to say this, there is an aura amongst the Cardinals, and as much as I hate to admit it,
yeah,
they know how to win. They just know how to win. And as much as an ass, I don't like the manager Schilt at all.
Yeah.
Because he was in the Phillies once. They were playing the Phillies in Philly, and he was arguing for no damn reason. I was yelling at the set, sit the F down, damn it. Just stop complaining. To me, they're entitled. It's an entitled ball club because they play in St. Louis and they've won. And the fans are the same way. But there's an aura about them. With Wainwright being around, and Yadi Molina being around, it's a difference. It's an attitude. It's a culture. That's what happens. That's come out from the Phillies, from Bryce Harper in the past week. They need to understand that they need to know how to win, and whatever that takes, work harder, be smarter, play better. Whatever that means, they have it. The Cardinals, the Yankees have it. The Red Sox have had it this year. Somehow the Giants had it,
Oh.
even with Gabe Kapler. And now Kapler, I had somebody on last week, Kevin Goldstein, former MLB exec with the Astros. I mean, he said it's like it's not like the managers don't learn. So obviously he was a disaster in Philly, but he must have learned something when he went there because that team was not expected to come close to make the playoffs, and they won 100 and whatever games. It's crazy, but I think St. Louis has the attitude. It's a culture of how to win. Phillies don't have that. They had it for the time being with that core of players,
Yeah.
2007 to 2011, but then after that,
I feel your pain, man. The Tigers had it for about 8 years, and then Brad Osmus came in, and it just Jimmy Smokes didn't help any, but we won't get into that. We got the other matchups. We got the White Sox and the Astros. That's going to be intriguing. I think.
Yes.
Again, Houston, they've got the talent. The White Sox, I worry about them because. Let's face the division they play in. It's like playing in the NFC East. I mean, they dominate, and they got the Tigers who are playing better, but nowhere near a competitor, and the Twins who bottomed out, but the Astros, there's something about them. They keep doing what they're doing, and I like their chances against the Sox.
Yeah. Quick update. Boston is winning 2-0.
Wow.
Home center.
Ain't that something?
Wow. That's huge.
Sure is.
I'm the first. It's huge. That's what said. She was hoping the Yankees did that.
Well, yeah.
And they only have a hit. They must have walked him, I guess. Devers.
Wow.
And Bogarts came behind him and hit the homer. So that place probably went nuts.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
Garrett Cole is up. I'm sorry. They're pitching. He's pitching now in the top of the second. But
that's amazing.
Going back to your point with the White Sox and Houston, listen, Houston's been through the ringer. They cheated. We know they did.
Mm-hmm.
They have now proven that they don't need to cheat, and that's how good they are.
Yeah. Even
with losing George Springer, right?
Yep.
It's and whoever else they've lost. They have shown people that they belong. They won 95 games. I mean, yes, the White Sox, great, fun young kids watching them play. Some veterans. I don't know how they're going to – here's the thing. They've been in the playoffs in this situation for a while. I don't know how they're going to react.
All they got to do the first game, Houston, is throw inside to Jose Abreu. He'll be rattled the whole series. I mean,
that's it.
Yeah, it is. And that's what Detroit did it to him this weekend. And he almost got booted out. It was amazing. And, of course, you got Tony La Russa. It's going to be the Geritol matchup with him and Dusty Baker. I like Dusty. I've always liked Dusty.
Me too.
And
Me too.
that's why I'm rooting for Houston to pull it out. I really am. And finally, Mitch, I know you want to get to watch the game. I won't keep you a whole lot longer. We got the Braves and the Brewers. I'm a little worried about the Braves. You talk about someone who got rattled. What about the Brewers? Their eighth inning guy punched the wall this weekend. Now he's broke his hand. I mean,
dumbass.
Exactly. That's my sentiments exactly. Now they're kind of limping in a little bit. Again, they face St. Louis, who's red hot. But I don't know if they got enough to beat the Braves to make it to the AL or the NLCS.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be an interesting series. Atlanta, again, there's a culture there.
Yeah.
There's a culture there. They know how to win. They've got the talent. Acuna, they lost Acuna rather early, and look at what they've done. They stuck in there. Listen, they stuck it out. Now, Milwaukee didn't have to stick it out. So I think Milwaukee has the edge only because they haven't played that many tough games.
Okay.
They won their division rather easily. Atlanta had a grind towards the end. I think that might be the little bit of an edge that Milwaukee's going to get.
Now, I look at these odds, the futures for the playoffs. I'm half tempted. Well, now I'm glad I didn't because Boston hit that 2-run homer. We know how quickly they can get back, but New York was 11-1 to go win the World Series, and the Cardinals are 25-1. Those were the worst, and the Dodgers were the best. I'm going to put you on. I'm not going to ask you to bet any money or anything, but if you had a gun put to your head right now, Mitch, and they asked you who's going to win the World Series, who is Mitch Bernstein's pick to win the World Series?
Let's see. I am going to say the Astros.
Okay.
Only because, again, they've been there. They've got the ability. Dusty's there with them. He's been with them for a while. The Giants are new to this also. I don't know that Gabe doesn't have any experience coaching, managing in the playoffs. So, and the Dodgers, hate to go against the Dodgers, but
oh my God,
I like the Astros.
Wouldn't that be something to see the Dodgers and the Astros? Boy, oh boy, they better hire extra cops for the stands in Dodger Stadium. Boy, that could be ugly. Mitch,
no plastic or anything.
For sure. Mitch, hey, thanks for taking time out tonight. I know this is one of your favorite times of year. Go grab yourself a sarsaparilla and a hot dog. Put yourself in front of that big screen TV and enjoy watching baseball. It's playoff time, baby. Thanks for taking time out tonight. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you having me on. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Have a great show.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You bet. Mitch Bernstein, the Burn from Mitch, or the Burn with Mitch show. You can catch him right before us every Tuesday, one half of the dynamic duo here on 12 Ounce Sports on Tuesday night, 2 for Tuesday. You got the two best right here on 12 Ounce Sports. Red Sox 2, Yankees nothing. Music to the ears of Boston fans, music to the ears of my father who's watching me upstairs. He's got the sound muted on that big screen TV, watching him, at the Green Monster in Boston. So we'll see if Garrett Cole can hang on and keep it going or keep it at a 2-run lead. The Yankees still got a lot of bats in that lineup. Boston was down 5-1 against the Nationals on Sunday, or else they lose that. They're playing in a play-in game yesterday against Toronto, but they came back. Boston's playing on house money. No getting around it. And, they're limping into the playoffs. Going to be very interesting to see. But again, my favorite time, where they're going to have 4 games on Friday. It's playoff time at its best. The only problem I have with it is some of the channels you got to try to find, and some folks don't have FS1 on their cable system. And to me, that's mind-boggling. You got ESPN and Fox and TBS. FS1, really? You're gonna? It's like watching the National Basketball Tournament on True TV. Really? What the hell is that? Don't get me started on that. But hey, again, my favorite time of year, baseball with the playoffs, hockey starting next week. We're going to have some hockey previews next week, by the way, here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza. So make sure you stick around for that. We will post who's going to be on real soon because hockey starts a week from tonight on TNT and ESPN. No more NBCSN and USA. They've switched networks. We're going to talk about that as well. Hey, we're going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the NFL. Week number 4 was in the books. We'll look at the standings. We're going to talk about my Lions. That's coming up after the break. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live on the 12 Ounce Sports Platform and Networks and Zingo TV Channel 761.
Twelve Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-ounce sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120Z and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sportsbook. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-ounce sports platform and networks and Zingo TV channel 761. Want to thank the man, the Burn with Mitch Bernstein, one of our baseball insiders, for joining us here on the network as on our show as we take a look at Wild Card Week, Tuesday tonight. Yanks and the Sox right now, bottom of the second. Boston on top, 2-0. Bogarts with the home run. So the Sox out to an early lead. That place has got to be going absolutely bat crap crazy. I know there's, as we mentioned, we talked about it a lot of history between these two teams, and getting involved in the playoffs together is, it's just added, because we talked a little bit about the Bucky Dent home run in 1978. That was the only way those guys were going to play in the postseason, was if there was a dead heat tie. They had the AL. Back before 1969, it was just 6 teams, 7 teams, whatever it was, in for the pennant, and then you went right to the World Series, and then they expanded and went to two divisions of 6, I believe, so 12 teams in each league, and Yanks and the Sox in the same division. The only way they're going to play in the playoffs is if they had that tie at the end of the year, which they did in 1978. I was in 8th grade, like I said. I remember Mr. Feluzin's class. He had the radio on, see if we could get updates. We didn't. Back then, like I said, we went to school till 5 o'clock and then got home, turned on the 6 o'clock news. There was no ESPN. There was no national news. We watched the national news. I remember watching that at 6:30, and that's when we saw it. That was the lead story, believe it or not, the Yankees-Red Sox game. That's because that was, back then how popular it was. So, anyways, we want to thank Mitch for joining us. Catch him every week at 6:30 to 8 on 12-ounce sports with the Burn with Mitch show. He has got some great guests every week, and baseball is his thing. He's likes the trading card scene as well. Talks Philly sports as well. So check him out every week. We got a lot of great shows here on the network. Just so you know, again, every morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, and all points in between. It's the AM Drive. Mike and Aaron put on a quality show every week, 5 days a week for an hour. They'll give you the best of what's going on in the world of sports. I'm sure they'll talk about this game tomorrow. Begrudgingly, I know Mike will. He's not a big baseball guy, but we'll let it go this time, Mike. Just kidding, buddy. You can join them every week. Pete's Power Plays right in the middle of the week, 12 to 12:30, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. His hockey show is going to really step it up a notch because the regular season starts next week, and he's going to have his best plays. You want to watch him. If you like to put a few shackles on the games, you get your deposit into BetUS and start listening to Philly Pete. He will get you in the money. Trust me on that. Following Pete, I was a VIP. Let's just say he helped me get to Florida, and it didn't cost me as much as it would have if I didn't follow Philly Pete. So that should tell you right there to be one of his VIPs. I'm telling you right now, that's a lock of the year candidate right there. Other great show. We got the Sports Stance podcast we're affiliated with We Do Sports Right, the Rome Show, which is on Monday mornings as well at 7 Eastern time. They go over everything that you need to know about the weekend before in football. So a lot of great shows here on the network. Check out our website, 12ouncesportsnetwork.com. We've got great articles on there as well. It's going to get even better. I guarantee you that. So stick around for that as well. Boston's got a runner on second, bottom of the second, 1 out. And they're already up 2-0 on the Yanks. So we'll have to wait and see how that rolls here as we roll on this Tuesday. Week 4 of the NFL is in the books. Last night, the Chargers and the Raiders did battle in L.A. They had a weather delay because of lightning. You know, I know the first thing you're going to say is there's a dome. Why are they doing it? Well, if you watched it close enough, you can see in the stadium there is an opening up high. It's not totally enclosed and totally shut. And they had one of them rare storms that they like to have at night out in Southern California, or early evening or late afternoon. I guess it was 5:20 their time. So they delayed it 35 minutes, and it cleared up. And everybody's making a damn big deal about it. Who cares? You know? Chargers look good, though. I'll tell you that. Jumped out to a 21-0 lead. Justin Herbert. Wow. Boy, it wasn't good enough for the Lions to draft last year, though. Hey, well, you know, what can I say? But they looked impressive last night on Monday Night Football against the Raiders. 28-14. Helped me on my little prop bet teaser trifecta parlay. I had money line Chargers. I had both teams scoring over half a touchdown. And I had the over at 41.5. Bingo! 42 it was. Woke up this morning, saw that, and did a little happy dance at 4 a.m. as I was getting ready to go to work and go on my route this morning. So Daddy almost won a new pair of shoes. How about that? But at least I could be happy about that. Sunday was one of those days that, I'm going to say I've been a Lions fan. You guys know that, gals know that, have watched me here on 12 Ounce. I've been a Lions fan. I've been watching Lions games since 1970, back when Detroit was relevant. And they beat Green Bay that year 40-0 and 20-0. They made the playoffs in 1970. I've watched the Lions in 1970 in the playoffs, 1982 in that strike-shortened year against Washington, 1983 when they lost on the missed Eddie Murray field goal against San Francisco. That was probably one of their better teams. Gary Danielson threw 5 interceptions. Billy Sims ran his heart out that game, and it came down to a missed field goal by Eddie Murray. I can still see it. 42-yard field goal. Whenever I see someone attempt a 42-yard field goal, I cringe. Monty Clark praying. They showed him praying like that right before the game. So I've been through a lot of heartbreaks, man. A lot of them. And it's, but I'm there every Sunday. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying, I watched that game last Sunday against Chicago. Before you go and say Justin Fields is ready, he played the Lions. He had one big pass in the first half. He threw for, 105 yards in the first half, 65 on one throw. So he threw for 38 yards. Big deal. If you watch that game, Detroit was inside. For those of you who watched it, Detroit was inside the 10-yard line 3 times in the first, 20 minutes of the game? No points. They fumbled. Only Detroit has a miscommunication. The snap hits off a Goff's thigh pad when he's not looking, bounces right into the defensive lineman's hands. Right after they had a big play to set up a possible touchdown to tie it up. Okay. Then they go down there again. 4th and 5 from the 4th and goal from the 5. They're only down 7. What does the mastermind want to do? He goes for it. You don't take the points. It's not like it was 4th and goal from the 6-inch line and you could do a quarterback sneak, or 4th and 1. Then the next time down, they fumble again or throw an interception, whatever it was. That 4th down decision really bothered the hell out of me. I got to tell you, and it really did. And then in the fourth quarter, they're down 2 scores. They're driving. About 4 minutes left, fourth down. They still got timeouts left. You figure a normal coach would kick the field goal. They're down a score, try to get a stop, get the ball back with, a couple minutes left. They had 2 timeouts left. They still had the 2-minute warning. Give Goff a chance to tie it. What does he do? He goes for it. And it wasn't even close. I've been through Wayne Fontes. He looks like a damn genius right now. I wonder if he's still alive. We could sure use him. I've been through Marty Morningweg, who was a joke. Matt Millen destroyed our franchise. Bobby Ross, who I think was the mastermind destroying our franchise. Freezing out Herman Moore, putting a fullback in front of Barry Sanders, and putting Charlie Batch in for Scott Mitchell. That guy ruined it. Then, they never gave, you got Matt Millen in there. You got Steve Mariucci in to coach. He wanted to get Drew Brees, and Matt Millen said no, he was damaged goods. That tells you what the hell that we've been through. Then you got, a bevy of coaches, Rod Marinelli, 0-16. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. Jim Schwartz, who got us to the playoffs, but, he was a buffoon. And please, I got these tweets today, and, a friend of mine texted me trying to get my goat, and I got to tell you, he did. Bring Jim Caldwell back. Why did they fire him? If I got to say this once, I'll say it again. The reason the Lions fired Jim Caldwell was because they wanted to take a chance and hire somebody to get them beyond mediocrity. How many playoff games did Jim Caldwell win? Don't tell me he got to 2 of them. I get that. How did he do in those games? He lost. He didn't get them past the first round. The man was horrible at clock management. No getting around it. Couldn't use a timeout properly. Everybody praises him, but how did he do when he didn't have Peyton Manning? 2 wins. He had his chance. I give Detroit, kudos for trying to better themselves. Boy, did they whiff with Matt Patricia. I'll be the first to admit it. But it is so damn easy for people to say, well, we should have never fired him. Really? You're going to be revisionist historians now? Yeah, they should have never fired Wayne Fontes, but they did. Because he got old. I get tired of that. But they hired Dan Campbell. The guy comes in, rah. I like it. Biting kneecaps. We're going to be okay. He's got that tight end mentality, lineman mentality. It's great. Fresh air. Some of the things he's been saying and some of these decisions he makes with the ball are incredible. And, yeah, I know it's baptism of fire, blah, blah, blah. He's got some great coordinators around him. Anthony Lynn is his offensive coordinator. And, I think their defense has improved a little bit. But Goff didn't help him either. And maybe what everybody was saying was right about Goff. Maybe he's not that good. He made some bad throws on Sunday against the Bears. And the Bears defense is not that. They're good. They're not great. I think they're top 15. But no. Jared Goff looked bad on Sunday. I look at this Lions team and, some are calling them the worst. They're worse than Jacksonville. At first I thought there's no. But I watched that game on Sunday, and they tease us a little bit. They get within 10, and then they fall apart in the fourth quarter. As long as you got Dan Campbell making decisions like that, we're in trouble. I'm not saying fire him after 1 year. I don't know. Maybe he'll turn it around. We got no talent. We got no receiving core. Khalif Raymond's our number 1 guy right now. Quintez Cephas is serviceable. He would be a good number 3. But, DeAndre Swift has not impressed me. I don't know if he's injury prone. He just seems he He seems pensive out there. He really does. Seems pensive. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So I'm kind of at a loss right now. I'll be there in front of the TV on Sunday watching them play Minnesota. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. I'd be a hypocrite if I told you I wasn't. I'd be lying. I'll be right there with my dad watching it. We'll be eating chili, watching the Lions. You know, I'm a masochist. I'm going to bitch and moan about them, but I'll be right there because that's what I do. It's a rite of passage. It's what I like. But I also, you know, I look at it and it's one of those things where I wonder, when is it ever going to get better? You know, it reminds me of the 70s when the Lions were 7-7 at best. Nowhere near a playoff team because you always had the Vikings who, you know, ran the NFC North back then. You had the Red Wings, were brutal. You had the Pistons. They'd get into playoffs with a 36-46 record and get blown out by Golden State or Milwaukee in 3 games back when they did best of 3. Then you had the Tigers, who after 72, I remember they were 85-77 in 1973 and finished just out of the playoffs. And then they went into a free fall for 10 years. It was bad. 100 loss win seasons every year. That's what it feels like. And it's like, we're not even close to having a contender. The Tigers are closer than anybody right now. You know, and A.J. Hinch deserves Manager of the Year consideration for bringing Detroit to 77 and 85. But we're light years away. And so I guess, you know, I was thinking about it last night watching the Chargers and the Raiders, thinking, I guess I'm going to have to look forward to watching good games with other teams because my Lions right now are so pitiful that it isn't even close. Well, hey, let's talk about some good teams. Let's switch the narrative around. Let's go to the Captain Lou Extravaganza guest line and bring in our next guest, Kurt Hamaser. I hope I pronounced it right, Kurt. He's from Buffalo Rumblings and Laces Out podcast. Kurt, help me out here, man. Your Buffalo Bills are looking pretty darn good. Welcome to the show, by the way. How are you?
I'm doing well, Lou. I'm doing real well. I can't complain. You know, it's October. It's one of the best months of the year. We got playoff baseball. Football is in full swing. Great weather outside, so I can't complain at all. I'm happy to be here.
Hey, Kurt, who do you got tonight, Boston or the Yanks?
I got to root against the Yankees. Not that I can really root for a Boston team, but I just can't. I can't bring myself to root for the New York Yankees. I'm sorry.
Hey, you don't have to apologize on this show about rooting against the Yankees. I'm, you know, I said earlier in my show I loathe the Boston and New York teams. I don't hate them. It's just, you know, the way it's treated in New York and LA. It's like, you know, sports is the best when they're involved. No, the sun will rise tomorrow. Everybody east of, Albany, New York, or everybody west of Albany, New York, we don't care, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anyways, I digress. Your Buffalo Bills, Kurt, it's beginning to look more and more like that loss against Pittsburgh opening week was a fluke. I mean, they have just really, you know, turned it around these last 3 weeks.
They have, and it's pretty surprising. You know, after that week 1, we were thinking, okay, you know, Pittsburgh's got an elite defense. They look good. It looks like maybe Ben Roethlisberger can at least be serviceable and get it done. And there were some question marks surrounding the Bills. And now, you know, flash 5 weeks forward and 4 weeks forward, and it's, oh my goodness, I don't understand how the Bills lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But, you know, every team's going to have those games.
Yeah.
No matter the team, you know, the Chiefs are going to have those games. The Tampa Bay Bucks had those games last year. It just happens. And it seemed like they figured it out. I mean, they bounced back and they played Miami. They shut out Miami. They just shut out the Houston Texans. They played a great game against the Washington football team. I mean, you can say what you want about these opponents, but they did what they had to do. And it's incredible that they can shut out 2 NFL offenses within the course of 3 weeks. I mean, it's very, very encouraging going forward.
You know, you just made a great point because we all know that the NFL is geared to protecting the quarterbacks, the wide receivers. You know, the way they call pass interference now as opposed to even 5 or 6 years ago. So making those shutouts or pitching 2 shutouts in the last 3 games is damn impressive. And I don't care.
Hmm.
They did it on the road against the Dolphins in the heat. And
Hmm.
I mean, wow, it's impressive to see because, the progression that Josh Allen and Sean McDermott has made as a team together, to me, Kurt, is something I want to talk to you about. In the last few years, they were questioned mightily about picking Josh Allen because he was from Wyoming. And boy, has that proven to be a great matchup.
Absolutely, and I'll go on record. I'll be the first to say that I was a Josh Rosen believer that year in the draft, and it was
Mhm.
everybody was against Josh Allen and all the question marks he had and the accuracy and blah blah blah. Many people were wrong about that, and I think it's awesome. He was the guy. He was the guy throughout that entire draft process that Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott wanted. They targeted him. He seemed like the perfect fit, and they traded up and they got him. They didn't buy into any media or anybody, whatever else anybody said. They wanted their guy. They saw what he had. They saw the potential, and it's paying off in huge ways now, big ways.
One of the things, Kurt, I saw it last week. The the mark of a good team, in my opinion, is that they can win in all different kinds of ways. And one of the things that I was impressed with, obviously the defense, but Dawson Knox is starting to round into shape. A couple of touchdowns.
Hmm.
He's looking good. Looking to be one of the top tight ends that you could call in the National Football League.
Yeah, he really has played well so far this year, and there was a lot of questions surrounding him because going into this year, it was he has problems with drops. We've seen that throughout his career so far with Buffalo. He's dealt with a lot of drops that in key moments, and also just plain flat out drops that any average tight end or wide receiver needs to have. So he put in the work this offseason, and him and Josh Allen are really forming a big connection. And Josh Allen really looks towards him in the red zone, which I think is huge because last year we saw Stephon Diggs, and it was Diggs broke the Bills' single season record with
Mhm.
catches. He led the league in catches, and it was the Stephon Diggs show. And this year Josh Allen is spreading the love. They bring in Emmanuel Sanders this year. He's playing very well so far throughout the season. You mentioned Dawson Knox. And when they get into the red zone, it's interesting because it's not like they're trying to force feed Stephon Diggs the ball. They've been looking towards Zach Moss, who's emerging as the number 1 running back. They've been looking towards Dawson Knox, who's a big target in the red zone. And I think that's really important going forward because it's going to make defenses play the Bills a lot more honest. They don't have to focus on Stephon Diggs. They can, they have to spread the wealth and move the safeties over and put a linebacker on the tight end position. So it's just going to help Josh Allen so much more having another weapon at his disposal.
Well, you just answered my question. With the running back situation, trying to get Moss more involved. It's nice having that 2-headed monster though with Singletary, isn't it?
It is, and it's I've never been a huge Devin Singletary believer. I think he's a nice piece, but
Hmm.
the Bills' running back room is kind of interesting. Going into this year, I thought maybe they would model it a little bit after what the San Francisco 49ers did a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl because they had kind of a 3-headed monster in their running back room, and they're just kind of rode the hot hand. And I thought maybe the Bills would do that. They brought in Matt Breida this year. He's kind of the speed guy. They have Devin Singletary, who he'll make you miss in a phone booth, and then they have Zach Moss, who will put his head down and run right through you. So they have 3 nice pieces that I think that they can kind of use at their will. We saw Zach Moss was inactive week 1. He kind of came back and had a big week 2, and he's played very well since then. So I think that they kind of want to move Zach Moss into that RB1 position, but I don't think they're going to, necessarily say that. I think they're still going to use Devin Singletary and Zach Moss in similar ways. I think they're going to stick with Zach Moss more in the red zone area. They use him in the pass game a little bit more too. So they're both very good running backs. And if the offensive line can kind of, mesh a little bit better and open up some holes for them, that'll just be huge for the Bills offense.
Kurt, you mentioned spreading the wealth. Not just with Stephon Diggs, Dawson Knox, and Sanders getting more touches. How has Stephon Diggs handled that? I know there's always been how he acted in Minnesota. he wasn't the man, so he wanted out, and he got his wish, which is I know Buffalo fans are thanking Minnesota every day. But how has he handled that? I mean, I know winning cures a lot of evils, but how has he been with that? Not getting as much attention maybe as he did last year.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny because when Stephon Diggs wanted out of Minnesota, it was, oh, this guy's a diva, and he's only a him first. He's not a team first guy. Yeah, a flip or a switch has been flipped, and he is completely different now. I mean, he is a team first guy. I believe he got voted, MVP kind of captain type, and he's really embraced the leadership role on this team. You see after every game, even after the Pittsburgh game, you saw him kind of. I think there was a video out there. He was on the bench and kind of looked mad, upset. Obviously, they're losing, and you see it. He nods his head. He goes, "You know what? All right." And he gets up and he goes and gives a handshake, and he slaps up every single one of his teammates on the bench. And that's kind of the Stephon Diggs that I think we're going to see going forward. He loves Buffalo. He loves Josh Allen. I mean, he said that he spends more time with Josh Allen than he does with his own family. I mean, those two are two peas in a pod, and it's that's what you need with your number one wide receiver. So I don't think we're gonna see any hissy fits on the sideline. I don't think we're gonna see him throwing helmets or anything as long as the Bills are winning. And I mean, even if they're not winning, it seems like he's really fully embraced that leadership role that this team needed.
We're joined by Kurt Hamaser from Buffalo Rumblings. Also, you can catch his work at Fansided and also check him out on the Laces Out podcast. Joining us here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza on this Tuesday. Bottom of the third, Red Sox still on top of the Yanks, 2-0. So we'll keep an eye on that again throughout the show as well. One of the things I looked for with Buffalo, Kurt, and with Cleveland, two teams that, let's be honest, they're like my Lions. They're not used to winning a lot, except now you guys are, and my Lions are still, in purgatory. My biggest question was, how do they handle success? How do they handle going from being the hunters to one of the hunted? And did you notice that at all? Was that a question mark in your eyes with Buffalo this year?
It is a strange feeling, I will admit. Going from who's going to be our starting quarterback, is it going to be EJ Manuel, Tyrod Taylor, Matt Castle, to now how are the Bills going to win the Super Bowl? And
wow.
It's kind of it's been within a 4-year stretch just about, and it's pretty awesome to see. I mean, this city deserves it more than anybody, I would argue, and I think it really comes down to coaching. I mean, Sean McDermott, the things that he has done for this culture, for this team, is incredible. We started off with Rex Ryan a couple of years ago, and now it's a complete 180 with Sean McDermott in there. So he really preaches that it's a family first thing, and you know what, you can have a huge win, you can shut out the Houston Texans, celebrate that Sunday night, but you know what, Monday morning when it comes around, it's all about the Kansas City Chiefs, and he really kind of keeps the team humble. That's what he always says: humble and hungry. We can make it to the AFC Championship. That's great, but you know what? We want the Super Bowl. So it's pretty incredible what he's done with this team, and the team has fully bought into him. I mean, they just love him. They think the world of him, and so does the city of Buffalo. So it's awesome to see. Like I said, the city of Buffalo definitely deserves it.
Oh, I agree. I can remember I lived through your 4 straight Super Bowl trips where, at least you guys got there. I thought for a moment that in 91 we might have a shot to play you guys, but God, it's 30 years ago already. Holy crap.
Hey, you know what? I don't know if anybody's ever going to do it again. 4 in a row. I mean,
I doubt it.
You didn't win them, but come on, 4 in a row, 4 AFC champions in a row. That's it's pretty incredible. So I don't know if anybody's ever going to top that.
I don't think they are. And, that's feat. I know they didn't win, but that feat goes very underrated and very underappreciated. And that's a great, great point. Kurt, anything, I know you hear the usual suspects. We've talked about Josh Allen and Knox and Diggs and Emmanuel and your two-headed monster running back. But who has maybe stood out to you as a surprise on the good side that you may not have been looking for when training camp started back in August?
Yeah, I mean, we focus on the offense, and rightfully so, with Josh Allen and everything that he's done in the MVP-type seasons. But I think the big surprise is the defense. I mean, the Bills have the number 1 defense in the league right now, going into week 5 here, and it comes down to the young guys. The biggest problem last year and years before where it was the defensive line and not being able to get a ton of pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. And I mean, that has changed dramatically this year. Second round pick from last year, AJ Epinesa, has just flourished. He really has looked good this year. He's getting a ton of pressures. Maybe the numbers aren't quite there, but what he's doing to opposing quarterbacks is just he's wreaking havoc. And the first round pick from last year, Gregory Rousseau, was maybe when they drafted him, he was kind of seen as a project piece. We'll see him in 2-3 years down the road, and he has just exploded off the page. I mean, I think even management is a little bit surprised. Obviously they liked him. They picked him they picked him in the first round, but I think they're still a little surprised. I mean, he's playing well, and the entire defensive line has really just shined and kind of been the key piece to what has been so successful with the Bills. Both shutouts can really be attested to the great play of the defensive line. They got the Jacoby Brissett and Tua Tagovailoa in Miami, shut them out, and then Davis Mills, 4 interceptions. He was sacked multiple times. I mean, the Bills' defensive line has really kind of been the heartbeat of this team so far, I think.
And it sure shows, like you said, and we talked about a little bit earlier. You could the way you can shut 2 teams out in 3 games with the way the game is called now is phenomenal. Now let's focus to Sunday night, the first of 2 nationally televised games for Buffalo, but it's the one that a lot of people have circled on the calendar. Your rematch against Kansas City. It's going to be a fun game, a fun watch. You know, obviously you can never count Kansas City out. They haven't looked as strong maybe as a lot of people thought. But boy, oh boy, they got the weapons. Man, that defense of yours is going to be put to the test. But I think you guys can put some points up on Kansas City. I think their defense is vulnerable. That's going to be a hell of a game.
It really will be. And I mean, like you said, AFC Championship rematch, 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league, 2 of the best coaches in the league at Arrowhead, Sunday Night Football. I mean, it really does not get much better than that. But these teams, even though it wasn't so long ago, these teams look a little different from the last time they faced. Obviously, the Chiefs are still stacked on offense with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes and all those great guys, and they still look great. They've had a couple ugly games so far this year, but I would really attest that to their defense. Their defense has not played well. No. They're currently the second worst defense in the NFL. In terms of passing defense, they're the 5th or 6th worst defense in the league. Run defense, they're second worst in the league. I mean, they have players on defense. They have Frank Clark. They have Dee Ford. They have Tyrann Mathieu. It just they can't get pressure on the opposing quarterback. They can't stop the run. They really have trouble covering tight ends this year so far. Their linebacking room is not great, and their secondary just is pretty weak. So if Josh Allen, every time that Josh Allen has played Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs defense, it seems like they kind of play a little bit more conservative than what we're used to. And I don't know if maybe that's Sean McDermott saying, we got to play it safe. We know Patrick Mahomes is going to score a lot of points. We can't make too many mistakes. And maybe back, last year before that, you had to play a perfect game to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if that's really the case this year. The Kansas City Chiefs defense has not looked good. And that's not even saying, that they're going to bounce back, because I haven't really seen too much that's promising them bouncing back. They have good players. They have a great coaching staff. I think the Chiefs will be okay. I think they're still, probably a favorite in the AFC, but I really think that the Bills can take advantage of their defense. I think it's going to be a very high scoring game for both teams, though.
I tend to agree with that, and your point is well taken about Kansas City. They haven't shown me that they can put together a solid effort on defense yet this year, and I think I like your prognosis on it. I think there are going to be some points scored. It's going to be a fun game to watch on Sunday night. Real quick, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes still has Tyreek Hill, still has Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, they're going to score points. But like I said, I mean, this Bills defense is a lot different than what we saw last year. And the Chiefs spent a lot of money on the offensive line this year. They brought in a lot of new guys, and I think they're really happy with it. But maybe they haven't played exactly how we thought they were. The rookies Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith have really played well at center and right guard. But I feel like it's going to take them a few weeks to kind of mesh. That's usually what happens with a new offensive line. So if that's the case, and the Bills can get pressure on Mahomes, that was kind of the problem last year. That's why the Chiefs really handled the Bills, because the Bills couldn't get any pressure on Mahomes. So if they can kind of get it going and make Mahomes use his legs a little bit and get out of the pocket, it's not going to be easy. It's never easy to stop Patrick Mahomes, but I think it's definitely doable. And if the Bills can match them point for point, I might have to lean towards the Bills on Sunday.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Again, I think that you can keep up with them on defense or on offense, and their defense is suspect. Kyle Schwarber just hit a home run, 3-0 Boston,
Right.
1 out in the bottom of the
Boston.
third. And let's see, they got runners on first and second. And
beautiful.
Garrett Cole is out of the game already, so he didn't have it tonight. So crazy there in Boston. It's so far so good if you're a Red Sox fan. AFC East, I've been impressed with Mac Jones. I think he's doing all right. I thought he played well against Tampa the other night.
I think so too.
The Jets are the Jets. I think I'm not sold on Robert Saleh as a head coach yet. And then Miami, they got a great defense, but their quarterback situation to me is really going to hurt them. But getting back to the Patriots, I thought, like we said, Mac Jones looked pretty good. I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Patriots. I think they can win 7-8 games. Maybe 9, but
I do too. I don't think I don't think they're a threat. I remember when Cam Newton got cut and Mac Jones was named the starter. Everybody was saying, "Oh, the Patriots might make a run for the division here." And their defense is great. Any Bill Belichick-led defense is gonna be good. So they played Brady great on last week, and I think they're going to be the part of that team that kind of carries them throughout the season. But Mac Jones just really does not have weapons on offense, and we saw how much money they spent on weapons. They brought in Hunter Henry, they brought in Jonnu Smith, they brought in Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar, but those really aren't elite talents that's going to help a rookie quarterback. That's what you need when you have a young guy, a guy that's new to the NFL. You need playmakers around him, and they don't really have that. So I think Mac Jones will be good. I think he'll, throughout his career, he'll hang around the top 15 quarterback in the league. He'll be a game manager type of guy, but he doesn't really have what NFL quarterbacks have nowadays, and that's the mobility. Obviously he can run, but the league is shifting towards a dual threat quarterback like Josh Allen and Kyler Murray, guys that can run and have big arms. So it seems like Mac Jones's deep ball is about 8 yards now. So we'll see how that goes further on down the road. But I don't think the Patriots are too much of a threat. I think the Bills will handle this division this year.
And finally, in your division, Miami gets all the hype, Kurt, but until they learn how to win, there's a lot to be said for that, in my opinion. We were talking with my last guest about baseball. You got teams like the St. Louis Cardinals who just know how to win. They're there every year. They've got that mentality. Miami's coming, but they got to learn how to win those games and when it counts. And they haven't yet, where Buffalo has, and New England will always have an edge they know how to win.
Right.
And I just don't see that in Miami yet. They got to prove it to me yet. I don't know if I'm way out of left field on that or not.
No, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I like Flores as a coach. I think he's a good head coach for that team, and they do have nice pieces. I mean, the defense is good. I don't love their defensive line. I think they still need a guy there. And I mean, you mentioned the quarterback play. That's the big question, because they have playmakers on offense, and Devontae Parker and Jalen Waddle and Will Fuller and Mike Gesicki. I mean, that's a great lineup there for weapons, but it's just I'm not too impressed with Tua Tagovailoa, and it is going to absolutely haunt the Miami Dolphins that Justin Herbert was the pick right behind him. I mean, it is. I can't imagine what that team would look like with Justin Herbert, because look what he's doing with the Chargers right now. I mean, he has an all-star lineup all around him, and he's beating the Chiefs and having a shootout with the Raiders and beating them. So I like the Dolphins. We'll see what happens with Tua, and if they look to change it up this offseason. I mean, I don't think they really want to drag this out much longer and say we're still in a rebuild, because it's been a long time, and I don't think they want the mediocre play, because they're staring at the Bills ahead of them, and maybe even staring at the Patriots, because now the Patriots have Mac Jones. that's going to be competition. And then they got Zach Wilson in the division too. So I don't think the Dolphins want to hang around and hope that Tua comes around. I think they're going to go out there and make a decision if he can't turn it around towards the end of the season.
I 100% agree with you, Kurt. Hey, you're a busy guy with everything that you got going on. Tell us a little bit about where we can find your work here on, behind the pen and also behind the mic.
Absolutely. Yeah. You guys can find me on Twitter at Kurt, K-U-R-T, Haumesser, Haumesser 88. Like you said, I'm with Buffalo Rumblings, part of SB Nation, with Fansided for the Buffalo Down. You can find me there. And then, like you said, with my podcast, Laces Out podcast with the Believe Podcast Network. So yeah, like you said, busy guy, but it's fun. I mean, when the NFL season is in full swing, it's good to be busy and it's good to talk some football. So I was happy to join you today.
Well, Kurt, thanks a lot for taking time out tonight. This has been an absolute treat. Maybe we'll get you on closer to playoff time. We'll preview which I think is going to be a playoff run, and enjoy the football season, man. Thanks again for coming on.
Absolutely. Happy to join you anytime. I appreciate it. Thanks, Lou.
You bet. Thanks, Kurt. Kurt Haumesser from the Buffalo Rumblings, Fansided, the Laces Out podcast, all things Buffalo. That's Kurt right there, and we appreciate him taking time out tonight. But I'll tell you, his Buffalo Bills they're there, man. They definitely are there. But as he mentioned, it's going to be a great game to watch Sunday night, 8:20. The primetime players, that's Buffalo. They're on Sunday night, and then they're on the following Monday. As they're ready. They take on the Tennessee Titans at Tennessee. 2 road games back to back on prime time, and that's going to work. We're really going to see, Buffalo take that next step if they can win both. And as an outsider looking in, I'd say I'd be happy with a split with those 2 road games. Tennessee, though, you don't know what you're getting with them. That was proven. They've lost to the Jets. I don't get it. Their defense, you talk about where I think Josh Allen could shine against Kansas City and against Tennessee. I really do, because I think both defenses are suspect. So it's going to be a fun watch on Sunday night and Monday night, that being the playing the Chiefs and then playing at Tennessee. Then they got the Dolphins, Jaguars, and Jets. So they can get well in a hurry if they do split. They go to 3, they could be 5 or whatever, 4-2 after those. Win those 3 to be 7-2. Yeah, I'd say they're setting pretty good. So exciting time for Buffalo too, as he mentioned. The fans deserve it. Boy, do they ever. They've been through some lean times up there in Western New York. Not as lean as our Lions, as I'll finish my thought on that before we go to break. But Buffalo has been there. They know they're learning how to win, and they're handling it good. That's what I always look for. It's like with Cleveland. Now they're the hunted. They think that they could take that next step and go to the Super Bowl or be in the AFC Championship game. Well, they won a game in Minneapolis or Minnesota the other day, and that was a step. They didn't look, world-beating, but they won, and that's the key. But you look at a team like Buffalo, last 3 games, outscoring their opponents 118-21, 2 of those shutouts, man. They are going to be tough to beat. And boy, oh boy, can you imagine having to go in Buffalo in February for an AFC title game, or the end of January with the season extended a week? Oh, you talk about snow. Oh, my Lord. Bring out the shovels, baby. It's going to be a lot of fun watching snow football. I want to see Patrick Mahomes go into Buffalo in January. Justin Herbert having to go play in the snow in late January in Buffalo. Man, that's going to be a sight to see. Before we go to break, finishing up our thought on the Lions. Yeah, getting back to Dan Campbell, I've defended every coach when Detroit's hired him. I've defended him. I defended Jim Schwartz. I defended Jim Caldwell. But he got him to mediocrity. Now, I know Lions fans would kill for that right now. But that's not acceptable either. I want Detroit, as a fan, we deserve to be like Buffalo or Cleveland. And, is it worth starting over? Is Dan Campbell the man? I don't know, but I got to tell you, what he did Sunday against Chicago was ridiculous. How do you not take the points and try to make it a 1-score game, or try to cut into a lead? That's what I want to know. Us inquiring Lions fans want to know. And I tell you, it's very, very frustrating, that's for sure. Top of the fourth, 2 outs. 3-0 in favor of the Boston Red Sox. In the first, Xander Bogaerts, center field, 427 feet. And then Carl Schwarber, 435 feet to right field. 2 outs, bottom of the fourth. Red Sox 3. The New York Yankees, absolutely nothing. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will give you our latest Captain Lou extravaganzas, Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge, where you can get in on your opportunity to win some cool prizes. We'll do that and more after this break. You're watching the Captain Lou Extravaganza live on the 12-Ounce Sports Platform and Networks and Zingo TV Channel 761.
Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120Z and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sports book. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Captain Lou Extravaganza live here on the 12-Ounce Sports Platform and Networks and Zingo TV Channel 761. Again, want to thank Kurt Homisser for joining us. He's from Buffalo Rumblings. Catch his work on Fansided, also SB Nation, and the Laces Out podcast. All things Buffalo Bills. Talking Buffalo in the AFC East. The Bills are for real, folks. That loss against Pittsburgh, to me, definitely was a fluke in week number 1 as Pittsburgh's kind of falling apart. We'll see if they can make themselves right coming up. But I don't know, man. Buffalo's going to be tough to beat, and it's going to be a great game against Kansas City. Coming up on Sunday night when they take on the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Sunday night football and a rematch of last year's AFC Championship game. Glad you could join us here on this Tuesday night as we roll into our last half hour of our show. Talk a little bit about Urban Meyer here shortly, and I'll get a quick rundown of college football. But without any further ado, it's time now to get into our weekly contest where you can register to win at the end of the year a chance at a $100 Visa gift card and also a $100 certificate to Fanatics. And all you got to do is be a part of the Captain Lou 6-Pack Challenge. What is that, may you ask? For those of you that have not heard of it, what I do is I pick 6 games against the spread, 3 versus college, 3 versus pro. If you pick those games better than me, you got to pick those games, then you will be in the drawing to win those prizes. Very simple to do. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter at Real Captain Lou, follow me on Facebook or at Lewis Gamlin, or drop me an email like a good majority of you do. That's CaptainLouSports@gmail.com. It's that simple. You could do that, and you will be registered if you could beat me on these picks. Now, the other rule is I make these picks usually this afternoon or sometimes the night before, and I take that spread courtesy of BetUS. By the way, go to 12ouncesportsnetwork.com/BetUS and get on their website. And if you want to put some shackles on some games, you need to deposit some money, right? Well, see that on the screen? It says promo code 12ounce, that's 120Z. You do that, you get a 125% sign-on bonus. What that means, you put $100 in, they'll give you 125 more to bet with. It's that simple. It's easy money. It is the lock of the decade, right? The lock of the century. It's you can't lose. That is extra free money. And so you got to do it, man. You'd be like Marty Morningweg for the Lions in overtime taking the wind instead of the football when there was a wind of about 10 miles an hour in Chicago. Just saying. That's what you'd be like if you don't use the promo code 12OZ. It's that simple. And when you do that, take a screenshot of it and, send it to me so I can prove that the captain sent you. We got a little contest here where the person that gets the most signups will get, we'll get a little something from Jeff Beck. And so he's the godfather here. He said something about taking us to a ball game or something. Maybe I'll torture him, make him take me to the big house to watch Michigan and Ohio State. Yeah, that would be fun to have him sit, Mr. Ohio State breath himself, our leader, Jeff Beck. So make sure when you do sign up, tell him the captain sent you, Captain Lou sent you, and, if I get him memento from that game, I will give it away here on the show. That's simple. All right, without any further ado, in order to get into that contest, you have to see the picks. So let's take a look at this week's Captain Lou Six-Pack Challenge. There we go. We got some big games on the docket in college football this weekend that we're going to be taking a look at. Let's go to the big game, the biggest game of the weekend. Number 3 and number 4, Penn State and Iowa. That's in the coaches poll anyways. And Iowa is a 2.5-point favorite at home. This one is a tough one to pick. I agree. Iowa, I've been on the Iowa bandwagon. I think that they're playing well. Penn State beat a suspect Wisconsin team, and they shut out Indiana, who lost their quarterback. Iowa's beating Iowa State on the road. I got to tell you, I'm sticking with the home team in this one. This could be a knockdown. 4 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday. Knockdown, drag out. I like Iowa in this game. The winner gets if Iowa wins this, they've got a very good shot at going undefeated for the rest, running it out, because the Big Ten West really isn't a whole lot. They've got Nebraska, but I'm not sold on Nebraska. Not yet. Not quite yet. I don't think they're quite there. They played a little better. They took Michigan State to overtime. So they've got Michigan this weekend. But in this game right here, I just love what Iowa's defense is up to. I'm taking Iowa laying the 2.5. Then we got the Red River War, Oklahoma and Texas. Texas got thrashed by Arkansas, who turned around and got thrashed by Georgia. Oklahoma, I just thought there's something about them that scares me about this game. That's why I'm taking Texas in the points. 3.5 points, I think, is too much. Oklahoma might beat them on a last-second field goal, but I'll get the 3.5. Spencer Rattler, he's been up and he's been down. Texas still trying to find themselves, but I think they may have righted the ship a little bit after that Arkansas game. I'll take Texas in the points. And finally, Alabama and Texas A&M. This was one that everybody, I think a lot of people had circled on their calendar last week or at the beginning of the year. Was this going to be Texas A&M's year? Were they going to really make it and be a contender in the SEC West? Alabama's coming to town after that big win at home over at Ole Miss. They defeated a very, very, very overrated Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels. The only thing I'm seeing in this game is a possible letdown. When I mean a letdown, I think Alabama may only win by 12 to 15 points. 17.5 is a lot of points. I'm taking Texas A&M, and I'm taking the points. 17 and a hook. I really like that. Let's go to the pro game, or the pro side of our ledger. Tennessee -4 at Jacksonville. I look for Tennessee to rebound against a Jacksonville team that is about ready to just implode right now. Who knows who the coach is going to be by Sunday? Who knows if they're going to want to play for a guy like that? We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Tennessee's coming off an embarrassing loss to the New York Jets. There is no way they're going to lose 2 in a row, especially to Jacksonville. I know it's at Jacksonville. I think Tennessee wins this one by double digits. Jacksonville, even though they've got their hotshot quarterback, give me the Titans -4. Next up, the Raiders. They're home, taking on Chicago. I know they gave up 28 points to LA against the Chargers, but I liked what kind of pressure their defense got on the quarterback. The Chargers are one of the top, they're one of the top 5-6 teams in the AFC right now. So it wasn't a bad loss in my opinion. I know they lost by 2 touchdowns, but they dug themselves a hole, and their offense couldn't get anything going. But this is Chicago they're playing. And whoever the starter is going to be, Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, they're not Justin Herbert. The Raiders can handle Chicago's offense. I think the Raiders win by double digits in this one. Chicago beat a depleted Detroit team devoid of much talent by 10 at home. Give me the Raiders -5.5. Finally, I threw a toss-up one in because I didn't know how to go on this one. Denver and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh did not look good against Green Bay. Granted, it was on the road. Now they get home to Denver. I kind of flip-flop back and forth on this one. I really didn't know how to pick this one. I like what the Broncos defense did. I could be burned on this one because I don't know if Teddy Ballgame's going to play. He's in concussion protocol. If he plays, I think it could be a no-brainer. Big Ben, he's had a great career. You could tell he just looks like a shell of himself. They won't make a quarterback change. They're not going to do that unless he gets injured. Their running game is non-existent. It just looks rough. Give me Denver +1. I think Denver wins money line, but I'll take the point. So there you go. Penn State at Iowa. I'm taking Iowa -2.5. Oklahoma versus Texas. I'm taking Texas +3.5. I'm taking the home dog, Texas A&M +17.5. Tennessee -4 against Jacksonville at Jacksonville. The Raiders -5.5 at home against Chicago. And I'm taking Denver +1 at Pittsburgh in a toss-up. I'm taking them money line when I go and make my my bets this coming weekend. Well, there you go. So what you need to do is write those picks down. I will have them posted tomorrow late afternoon on Facebook and on my Twitter at The Real Captain. You can give me your answers there as well. So all you got to do is give me your answers there. You see these on Facebook, give me your answers on Facebook, or drop me a note, CaptainLouSports@gmail.com, and we will have you in the drawing if you beat me you're in the drawing for a $100 Visa gift card at the end of the year, and a Fanatics $100 certificate. We're going to draw that after the Tuesday after the national championship game. That's simple. So there you go. That is the latest edition of the Captain Lou Six-Pack Challenge. Want to thank everybody that's taken part of that here this year so far. It's been a lot of fun, as always, here on the network. Want to touch on a little bit about what's going on with Urban Meyer. You know, the guy, I look at him as a narcissist, but I think, you know, I've heard reports things are getting ugly down there. He's lost the locker room already after 4 regular season games. You know, bringing in that strength and conditioning coach who had issues at Iowa, you know, racial tension, whatever. And then bringing in Tim Tebow to be at a shot at tight end, which we knew wasn't going to work. And it just created a circus. He's lost credibility. And the owner came out and said he's got to regain our trust and our respect. How, you know, I think what they're doing is looking at the moral clause in his contract to see if there's an out. I don't think there really is, because he didn't really do anything illegal except being stupid. Now, I'm all about somebody having fun. You know, I mean, everybody's human. I get it. You know, and this is a little different, though. You're in the public eye. You take the good with the bad when it comes to that stuff. We've talked about that 100 times. You want all the glitz and all the glamour, all the perks that come with being a professional athlete, a professional head coach, whatever, politician, movie star, whatever, famous broadcaster, play-by-play guy, whatever. You want all the perks that come with that, the meals, the hotel rooms, the endorsements, you know, everything. You want all the good that comes out of it. You take the good with the bad. One of the things that you lose with that, with all that notoriety and the great things that come with it, is your privacy. You go into a bar, and it's your own bar, and you act stupid. Stupid is as stupid was. You get what comes with it. And that's what he's getting right now, and he deserves it. Does he deserve to get fired? I don't know. If you lose the locker room and you lose the trust of your team and ownership, then yeah, you deserve to be shown the door. He's not the first college coach that's gone into the NFL and bombed. Lou Holtz, Nick Saban, Steve Spurrier, the list goes on. Lane Kiffin, the list goes on and on. Pete Carroll till he took the Seattle job. I mean, it's some people just aren't wired for that. You know, you know, this kind of thing has kind of followed him everywhere. He's stepped in it and gotten away with it wherever he's gone. But you lose the locker room, which supposedly he has done. You know, I've heard Mike Lombardi say that. I've heard I can't remember the other guy's name. He was Dan Patrick referenced him about players laughing at him behind his back, and he didn't address the team as a whole, just different position group. I mean, he's stepping in it big time, man. And to say, do I feel sorry for the guy? No. He's never been my favorite ever since he cried and whined like a baby in 2006 when Michigan and Ohio State played 1 versus 2. And he whined and said that they did not deserve a rematch, even though they were the 2 best teams in the country that year. Michigan lost the day after Bo Schembechler died, 43-39. It's a hell of a game. You can't tell me those weren't the 2 best teams. He got his way, so I'll never forgive him for that. Then, of course, he goes to Ohio State, gets away with a lot of stuff there, extracurriculars. It's just when you win, things get brushed under the table. Well, he's finding out now when you lose, you can't get away with that stuff. You can't go get lap dances. I don't care if he didn't initiate it. And if you're not smart enough to realize that people have cameras and they're going to film your every move when you're at a bar having a cocktail with your family, and boy, you are narcissistic, and most of all, you are naive, and most of all, you are dumb. And that's what he is on all counts. And I don't feel sorry for the guy. And like I said, if he's lost the locker room and the trust of his players and management and the ownership, then yeah, he should be shown the door. It's that simple. Will he be? Time will tell. We'll see how they do against Tennessee if he's the head coach. But they make a decision. They're going to have to make it fast before that game. But I'll tell you what, if they lose that and lose it bad, he'll end up in Southern California recruiting and he can have all the lap dances in California that he wants. Because they'll be knocking on his door. And who knows, they might already be doing it. And he might be doing this on purpose. That's the conspiracy theorist in me. But I got to tell you, it's, I don't wish any ill will on anybody because, goes around, comes around. But it's kind of fun to watch Mr. Perfect. Thing is, he can't just go in there and wave his magic wand and be 11-2. They're going to be lucky to win 2 games. They'll be fighting with Detroit for the first overall pick next year in the 2022 NFL Draft. Quick update on the game. We are in the bottom of the 5th, 1 out. Severino's in pitching now for the Yankees. 3-0. Sox over the Yankees. Can't say that that's breaking my heart at all. Well, real quick, taking a look at the college football before we call it a night. Just want to look at the rankings real quick. You look at the coaches poll. They've got Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, and Penn State, 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like the AP poll. Oklahoma and Cincinnati, 5 and 6. Coaches are Oklahoma at 5. Cincinnati, they both flip-flop. Then they got Ohio State at 7. The coaches have Michigan at 8. Kind of surprising they jumped that high. I mean, they dismantled Wisconsin. It wasn't even close. But now they got another road test in Texas or Nebraska. Oregon falls to 8 and 9, depending on which poll you're looking at. BYU in the top 10. Michigan State at 11. I got to tell you about Michigan State. It's funny watching Michigan State. Whenever they're picked to do really bad, which they were this year, they just rise to the occasion and they're world beaters. I am so worried about Michigan State on October 30th with that rivalry game as a Michigan fan. Boy, oh boy, that's going to be a fun game because I got a feeling they're both going to be undefeated. And let's just say they are. Either Iowa or Penn State's going to fall. They could be, I don't know, 6 and 7 going into that game. Who would have thought? Both teams started the season unranked. And Michigan State will soon be a top 10 team if they win out. They go to Rutgers, and I think they got an off week, and I can't remember who they played before they played Michigan. Michigan's got Nebraska, then I think they're off, and then I'll have to look up they play. Then they play Michigan State. But for both those two teams, they both got Penn State, and they both got Ohio State on their schedule yet. So it's going to get tough for Michigan especially. Well, Michigan State too. 3 big games left in their division. So if one of those teams runs that gauntlet and goes undefeated, they deserve to be in championship consideration. Then they'll probably have to play Iowa. So if either one of those two teams wins all 4 of those games, they're in the playoff. They run the table, no doubt about it. So, well, that's going to do it tonight for our show. Want to thank Mitch Bernstein from the Burn with Mitch for coming on and talking baseball. Yankees trailing the Red Sox 3-0 as we go into the bottom of the 5th. 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. The Yankees trailing the Red Sox 3-0. Tomorrow it's St. Louis and the Dodgers. Adam Wainwright against Max Scherzer. Should be a good pitching matchup. Wouldn't it be something if the Dodgers lost? I got to tell you, nothing would surprise me. Their lineup's loaded. Losing Muncy's going to hurt them, even if they get by St. Louis. Then their reward is playing San Francisco. I'm with Mitch. I love the one-game playoff. Hey, win your division. I don't care if 2 teams are great in the same division. It's happened to everybody. Just because it's happening to the Dodgers doesn't mean you change it. So, but anyways, thanks to Mitch Bernstein for coming on and talking baseball. He likes the Astros to win the World Series. I got to tell you, I wouldn't be shocked if they do either. I would love to see them in the Dodgers, but I got a feeling it is going to be the Astros. So we're both unanimous on that. Want to thank Kurt Hosserman for joining us too from Buffalo Rumblings, Fansided, and the Laces Out podcast, talking Buffalo Bills football. Remember, nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. They've got Kansas City on Sunday night. That's going to be one fun broadcast to watch. NBC hitting the jackpot again with another marquee matchup. And we want to thank you, the viewer, for taking time out tonight to watch us. I know you put the volume on silent while you're watching the Yanks get beat by the Red Sox tonight. We appreciate that. So don't forget to look for my Facebook page and Twitter, as I will have the Captain Lou Six-Pack Challenge picks there on my pages. Once you see those, leave your picks there for that chance to win a $100 Visa gift card and a $100 certificate to Fanatics. And also drop me an email with those picks, captainlousports@gmail.com. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. We will be back again next Tuesday night for more. We're going to talk NHL. The preview, the season starts next week. We're going to talk football, baseball, NHL. Who knows, maybe a little NBA if something happens there. College basketball practice is starting. It is getting to be busy. And we've got it all for you right here on the Captain Lou Extravaganza here on 12 Ounce Sports. Hey, don't forget to join me 10 o'clock Saturday morning for the latest 12 Ounce Sports NFL preview show. We'll give you all our picks of who's going to win week 5. Yours truly, along with Aaron Crouch and Mike Carvallis of the AM Drive, which you can watch every day at 10 o'clock Eastern Time right here on 12 Ounce Sports. Hey, this reminder, keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us here live on the Captain Lou Extravaganza on the 12 Ounce Sports Network and Zingo TV, Channel 7.